In almost any game we've played, there's always that one thing that feels unbalanced, too strong, too fast, too unfair. The overall term we've grown to use to describe this frustration is overpowered. When something is deemed overpowered, we consider it to be in a league above the rest, standing on its own class or tier or item or character. However, this term gets thrown around way too often in my opinion. Too many people think something is overpowered when, in reality, they're just bad at dealing with it. In this video, I'm going to break down some instances of characters or weapons in video games being overpowered, as well as some instances where they're just simply not. I'm also going to go over when things should be overpowered. I'm going to start off with what I believe to be the most overpowered character in a fighting game, period. When Bayonetta was announced as the final DLC character for Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, some rejoiced, others were upset, but everyone agreed that it was a huge curveball that was completely out of left field. Little did we know how hard her introduction to the game would affect the meta. You see, Smash is a game about a constant back and forth between you and your opponent. There are no touch of death combos like in Marvel or Dragon Ball. Rather, it's much more about positioning, situational awareness, and using the shape of the stage to your advantage and to the opponent's disadvantage. Enter Bayonetta. She had this mechanic that would allow her to string many moves together in a row at the cost of recovery frames when she landed on the ground. This, in theory, seemed like a fair balance, making her a high-risk, high-reward character. Now, it didn't exactly pan out how Nintendo hoped. From day one, people found actual touch of death combos with her. Remember how I said that's not supposed to be a thing in Smash? Well, it is now. Without even touching on other things she has, such as an amazing recovery or a frame 1 escape tool, invalidating many other characters' combos, this alone set her apart as one of the best characters in the game. If you wanted to play Bayonetta in tournament, positional awareness, spacing, and all other mechanics that made Smash Bros. The type of platform fighter that it is just don't matter to you. Obviously, you needed to have a base understanding of them, but not to a professional level that everyone else at the tournament needed. You just needed to get in your one hit, and you can string all of that into a kill. You see, when a single character breaks the overall flow of a game to this extent, and when it invalidates the knowledge required to do well in a tournament, this is when we know a character is overpowered. It's not up to feelings or frustration, it's due to the fact that Bayonetta single-handedly introduced touch of death combos into Smash Bros. And threw away the necessary back and forth feeling from fights. Was she completely unbeatable? No, of course not. It wasn't an instant win using her. However, you're going to have a much easier time playing Bayonetta than any other character with significantly less hours of practice. Now that I've given you an example of a truly overpowered character, let's move on to something that's not overpowered despite whatever sentiment may surround it. Mordhau is an indie game that just launched this year to massive success. It is the spiritual successor to Chivalry, a game all about fighting as a medieval knight. Mordhau's controls, flow, and gameplay are all impeccable in making this transition over from a 9-year-old game to one that was just released today. Most of the weapons are balanced, and all excel in one area or another, kind of like distributing stat points in an RPG. No weapon is amazing at everything. However, some are well-rounded while others prioritize speed, damage, or range. Now, enter the Maul. This weapon is surrounded in controversy from what I see online, both on forums like Reddit, as well as in-game chats. People constantly complain about how the Maul is OP. Let me break down why. The Maul is a medium-range weapon that, while slow, can one-shot you in the head no matter what. Regardless of your light, medium, or heavy head armor, it is a one-shot kill to the head every time, if you let it hit you. Every weapon in Mordhau has different swing times and active frames, where the hitbox remains active, allowing you to damage the opponent. The Maul is ridiculously slow at everything it does, and is easily counterable. So why do people think it's overpowered? Well, to be frank, it's a pub stomper. What does Pub Stomper mean, you ask? Well, it's a weapon or character that will wreak havoc on newer, less experienced players. However, the Maul is so telegraphed and so easily counterable that anyone at a high level of play simply has no desire to use it. It can be blocked or countered easily so long as you pay attention to the animations, something this game is all about. At a proper level of play, I would go so far as to say that the Maul is actually underpowered compared to most other weapons, but that's just my personal opinion. I actually have Flakes here, a top Chivalry player who has transitioned over to Mordhau, and is even quoted in the game's official Get Good guide written by the developers. He's here to give his thoughts and opinions on the Maul.
One of the most crucial mechanics in Mordhau are combos. At the end of your swing, you have the opportunity to start a new attack. However, during the wind-up phase of your attack, you can also morph or parry your swing before it enters the release phase to do damage. The Maul lacks the ability to combo, and therefore has to finish its entire attack animation before the option to parry becomes available. Not being able to parry quickly after finishing a swing means that every missed attack is going to be a huge opportunity for your opponent.
There is one more subcategory that I would like to cover here, and it's when an item should be overpowered. You see, we spend so much time talking about if something is or isn't overpowered that we never really stop to wonder when they should, rightfully so, be overpowered. An overpowered item or ability should be a reward to the player, something that isn't given out often, and when it is, makes a huge, phenomenal difference in gameplay. In a single-player, roguelike game, such as The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, getting items to buff your otherwise underpowered character is what the game is all about. Randomized runs, randomized items, and the idea that you're going to spiral out of control this run or fall flat on the second level. That's what keeps this game exciting. Now, you have items like Godhead or Brimstone, which can single-handedly win you any run you're on. These items are given out very, very infrequently. However, when you do get them, you feel the absurd level of power that the game has gifted you with. The knowledge that these items are out there and that you maybe, just maybe, will get them this run is a big factor in what keeps the game interesting. These are items that are completely overpowered, but deservedly so, and their very existence adds a lot to the experience of the game. Finally, I'd like to cover ultimates in Overwatch. These are abilities that are completely overpowered. However, they don't break the flow of the game in any way. You see, when everyone has access to these ridiculously good abilities, then everyone else knows that they should constantly play around them. On a surface level, Genji's Blade or Tracer's Sticky Bomb or Pharah's Barrage are all insanely damaging moves that, with good coordination, can wipe out an entire enemy team. But again, every single other player in the game has a move that's just as overpowered. Now you can argue that some ultimates are better than others, but we can all agree that they are a cut above every other normal ability in the game. But this constant grind towards an ultimate, a ticking clock in the bottom center of your screen, is what keeps most games engaging. You're constantly working towards something, and when you get it, it can be game-winning when combined with other players' ultimate abilities as well. This is a good kind of overpowered. One where everyone gets to have a taste, and where it adds a layer of strategy to the game without making anyone feel particularly frustrated or helpless. Thanks for making it to the end of this video. This is the first time I've attempted to make this style of video, so please let me know how I did in the comments below. If you liked what you saw, please like the video and subscribe for more.